So I want to talk about some drama that can occasionally happen during a karate event. There are two specific examples from last night, which was the third day of the competition. These children decided that they were going to not behave in a fashion that seemed the best. So what I mean by their behavior, let's start with the one that I first saw. This was in the 12 to 13-year-old elite kumite, I believe under 40 kilos. There was a girl. I thought I had this filmed. I failed to actually click to begin the filming, so whoops. Anyway, I thought I had the beautiful entirety of the drama, but I don't. Oh well. Anyway, but Aka was in the lead. Aka is red, the red belt, competing, and Ao, meaning the blue belt, competing. Aka was in the lead, and Ao was falling behind. There was a particular move where Ao fell backwards, and she landed onto her back, so she kicked her feet into the air, which is, you can completely do. She kicked her feet into the air to try and keep Aka back. And as her legs kicked out and started coming down, Aka scored with a punch to the belly. Anytime somebody is on the ground, it is and a score is made on the person who's on the ground without a block, whether it be to the front, to the back, however that may be. Correction, on the back. Anyway, to the front, to the head, etc. It is automatically a 3-point score. Well, Ao did not like that one bit. She got up from the floor and started stomping around, flailing her arms. I was too far to hear her, but I'm sure she was very angry and very visibly unprofessional, so I'm sure her words were as well. The crowd watching were immediately like, ooh, no. Honey, that's not gonna fly. But she just kept stomping around. She walked off the mat, didn't bow, or anything. Was just all over the place. The referee asked her to come back to her spot on the mat, and she stepped back onto the mat, made this big giant stompy leap further onto the mat, and then like huffed her way over to her appropriate spot. The ref immediately was like, hold on, everyone to me. So all of the judges then came forward and they had a discussion. They asked Aka and Ao to step off of the mat, to bow and step off of the mat. Ao just peaced out. She did not bow at all. Aka was still very respectful. She's bowed to the ref/judges and to her opponent, and then stepped off, and waited patiently to the side. Ao was storming. Oh my goodness, her coach/sensei bolted from his seat, because normally the sensei, the immediate coaches who are watching and kind of like coaching along through the match. Hey, do this, hey, do that. Anyway, but he bolted from his chair and ran over to her, like tried to hold on to her and was like, hey, you need to cool it, calm down. Again, these are all visual cues that I was picking up on, but I can imagine that is about how it was going. But she like would push away from him, like try almost like half fought him to get away, and like, oh my gosh, it was a mess. Anyway, an extended period of time, longer than would seem normal, the judges took their seats again. I think that was the very end. From what I can remember, that was the very end of the match anyway, and Aka, red, was determined the winner, as it was. Anyways, but they weren't finished yet. All of us viewers were like, throw her out, get her gone. She had lost anyway, so I'm sure she was done for the day. But we wanted her out. Anyway, so the judges took their seats again, and the ref called for Al to return to her spot alone. And that's never a good sign. We all knew probably what was going to happen, and as things commenced, she stormily made her way to her spot, and was told to leave. That was actually the first time I've personally seen anybody thrown, not just out of the match, but she was thrown from the competition. Which leads us to the next part, because it didn't end there. She rushed off of the mat, even more stormily and angrily. And the coach was like grasping at straws, trying to get her, to contain her. They kind of walked around trying to keep her in one place, because she's 12 to 13 years old. Parents, please don't let that happen with your children. A loss is a loss. Respect it, own up to it, however you want to go about it. Do that. But don't do what she did. Anyway, stormily, whatever, it was getting to the point, again, the ref called the judges back after she did this the second time. That's not a good sign. I don't think they necessarily did anything with it after that, but the coach was like, stop, you're done, stop. I think it was to the point where it was like, if you keep this up, potentially the dojo will be removed from the entire competition. And out of respect for the dojo, I know who it was, who the dojo is, but I'm not going to say who. For those who attended, you know. But he was like, if you continue this, we're probably all done, so do not ruin this. That was the body language and the intensity that I was picking up on. And still, she's like, you can't tell me what to do kind of thing. Eventually, she calmed down just enough that he scooped her entire body up and plopped her over the fencing around the competitors' area. I guess maybe her parents were right there, or maybe other adult figures from the dojo. However, anyway, they were there, and they were trying to contain her and to get her to calm down. The coach then ran over to one of the other rings where one of his other students was competing, because now he had the time for that. So as he ran over there, she hopped back over the fence into the competitor's area and ran up to the table where they keep the scores, where they do the little map outs, and where currently all of the judges and the ref were standing. I assumed she was probably trying to get her credentials back initially. And probably my guess is upon hearing no, again, this is all me just picking up on body language, she stayed and stayed and seemingly got even more angry, etc. At this point, there's no adults around her. One of the men, one of the two adults, there was a gentleman, he hopped over the fence and ran over and just kind of like scooped her, like bear hugged her away as she kind of was like kicking and lashing back. She didn't fight anyone specifically, but it was just all kinds of pitching a fit that was going on, and that was just ugly. Very ugly, very much not okay. Anyway, they put her back over the fence. I forgot to mention, when she stormed off the first time, she kicked her bag and almost like flailed and hit a couple of other people. Anyway, so yeah. So she was thrown out of the competition, and my assumption is them not returning the credentials to her is that they did not want her to return to the facility at all. She was not welcome anymore in the building. So there is that situation. We cut to a little bit later in the 10 to 11-year-old Team Kumite. Almost a very similar situation. One of the little boys, I guess, didn't agree with what the judges/refs had to say, and he started flailing his arms. He at no point got to the level that she did, but he still had a very ugly and bad attitude. The only problem is that there were other members of his team relying on him to behave accordingly, and he did not, and they were all thrown out. So please, behave.